Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. I am your host, Giovanna Tartarone, and today I have a special guest, Carmen Kunist. She is a money mentor business coach, and I met her at a conference, and I was so enthused about her presentation. I invited her on the show to talk to us about money and energy, and both of them, there is a connection with it. So welcome, Carmen.
Thank you. So thrilled to be here.
Thank you. So you're the expert. I love what you presented, and I just wanted to share with the audience this relationship that most of us are really not aware of. There is a connection between energy and money.
Right. Well, everything is energy.
That's right.
Everything. And, whether it's, physical objects that we're touching, living human beings, or the thoughts and emotions that we put out to the world. Yes. But money is just another form of energy. And when you think about it, it's paper, right? And it's only real because we believe in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go through, how did you get into really this kind of work to really put it together, how you help businesses to really look at money from a different perspective. And it's so important because these days, the number one worry is about the financial state of our bank accounts and business bank accounts. So how did you get into this work?
Well, I got into it as, I've been in the world of, counseling psychology since 1993.
Wow.
So I've been in my field for over 30 years. And I went from being a counselor and coach who helped people really figure out their career life purpose. Mm-hmm. And that was a lot of my work. I did leadership coaching, performance-based coaching, a lot of career life transition, career life purpose coaching. And I was always fascinated because I taught at the graduate level in higher education. And I also had high-level partners from Price Waterhouse and Facebook, top leaders that I coached. And there was such a vast difference in the mindsets between the counselors who were training to be in the helping profession and the leaders that I were coaching who were mostly millionaires.
Wow.
So I became very fascinated by their different mindsets, both for myself personally. But how it really came to a head is the universe decided to kick that higher education job out of my life.
Nicely put.
And my program, due to dwindling enrollment, was closed. And suddenly, someone who had always had everything lined up with her own career life purpose, and always had her next gig in play, suddenly that main job that I had was gone. But I had a private practice on the side. And, so I still had some teaching in private practice. And I just decided that, I wanted to do something slightly different. I've always been interested in neuroscience and law of attraction coaching. And as a matter of fact, the very first coaching certification I ever received was a law of attraction certification back in 2003. And this was before The Secret came out. And so I was using it to manifest all kinds of amazing things in my life. And suddenly I decided to switch gears a little bit. And I was introduced to this new modality called theta healing, which enables you to, instead of getting into a person's story, when you're coaching them, you get to the root really quickly because people are addicted to their stories.
Yes.
They get a dopamine hit from telling the same stories over and over, whether it's a good story or
and
one.
they're stuck there. Yeah,
You get stuck.
absolutely.
And the problem I always had with counseling psychology is often there's so much emphasis put on the past, and people are stuck reliving trauma. So I met this woman who just had a really great vibe, and I was incredibly fascinated by what she did.
Yeah,
And she told me she was a theta healer. And I'm like, what is that?
yeah.
And she said, well, you get to the subconscious level where a lot of people are not aware that 95%
Hmm.
of your brain functions are being run by that
Absolutely.
subconscious level. And you get to the root cause. And when you shift those beliefs, you're able to make radical changes on the programming system. So it's kind of like looking at your operating system as though you're looking at a computer. Right?
Absolutely.
And so I had a session with her, and it was interesting. I was just starting to go through menopause at the time. And I don't know why, I was just deathly afraid of what it might do to my body.
Yeah.
It just that big change of life.
Right.
And she cleared out all this stuff that had to do with menopause, and I didn't have a problem whatsoever with it.
Yeah,
But
because
she was,
I'm sorry, you built that belief from the outside that, oh, you're going to have all these symptoms, right? So you started to program your mind like, oh my God, I'm waiting for the symptoms to come because that's all you were thinking of.
well, and I'd heard about it. My mom has an identical twin sister,
Mm,
and she was the one that had a lot to say about menopause.
got it.
That was, negative. And so I just, I had
Yeah,
certain fears,
right.
physically.
You built beliefs from your environment. Let's
I
put it
did.
nicely put, easily put, right? And this is what we do on a normal basis: is that our belief system is based on what we hear from our parents, school, and the news. And so we
Hmm.
take everything from the outside and we start to believe it. And when you believe something, this is where you act on your beliefs.
Correct. And especially the
Mm,
beliefs that you acquire from birth to age 7. Now, theta
yes,
healing looks at 4 belief levels. So, from birth to where you are now in your life is considered the core level.
yeah,
And where we hold those beliefs in our body is in our pineal gland.
yes,
The second level of belief is the genetic, the DNA, and that goes back 7 generations on both sides of your family. And we hold that in the morphogenic field that surrounds our physical DNA, which tells our DNA how to express.
okay,
And this is why we sometimes pick up patterns from grandparents and ancestors or things that, we think consciously, um, that's not, a healthy belief, but
right,
it's something that we acquired, and often before we had discernment. The third level of belief is what we call the history level or group consciousness.
yeah,
And this is where we buy into what we think is possible or impossible. It relates to past lives that we've led. It relates to oaths and vows and curses that are on a certain level. Um, it relates to, just how we buy into just the history of group consciousness.
yes,
And we hold that in our auric field. But the fourth level of belief is our soul level. And that's the part of us that's always been here and is here to learn lessons and to grow and to expand. We hold those in our heart, and that's the deepest part of us. So we can hold beliefs on all these different levels. And that's what I became aware of. And so after having a session with this theta healer that I encountered, who happened to be an instructor, I went on and got 4 certifications in that modality.
yes,
And everyone in my field that knew me as Carmen the counselor and the coach
yes,
said, don't get too woo woo. You're going to lose customers. You're not going to appeal to people. So for me, I always have to have evidence, and I like to play with things.
yes,
And I just started using it with my clients. And I quickly became such a believer because I saw people just make incredible and radical shifts. So how did I end up focused on money? getting back to your initial question,
Yes.
taking a long roundabout way to get there. Sorry.
It's okay.
But people started to come to me because they were starting businesses and they were concerned about their ability to earn money as an entrepreneur. And so I became interested in both, all the gurus in regards to money mindset,
Yes.
but I also became interested in how to use theta healing to help you manifest money. And usually what came up was, what's blocking you from money? And what would come up would be people's fears. Fears about, hey, I might turn into somebody who's really greedy and selfish. Or maybe people in my life will no longer resonate with me. So I better stay small so I fit in with my family. What if I have to pay more taxes? God forbid.
Right.
By earning more money or
Yes.
getting into a higher
Yes.
tax bracket. Or, people would just have fears about, what if I lose the money? I make it, I lose it. I don't know how to manage it or handle it. Or people would have imposter syndrome. Like, wow, I'm coming up in this next level and suddenly I'm afraid because my identity is changing, my self-concept. So all of this study and work that I did with theta healing, it led me to really decide to narrow in on helping entrepreneurs, especially those who were, heart-centered coaches and wellness entrepreneurs who sometimes struggle with making money because they want to help everyone,
Yes.
to help them level up, to realize it's really part of our spiritual mission to be wealthy, because we're able to have more influence and impact and to do something about the things that matter to us in the world if we have wealth. And we're able to live our best lives and provide for the people that we care about if we're not living from a space of lack.
Where's the fear coming from?
I would say usually it comes from a feeling of unworthiness.
At the
And
very root cause of what holds people back from achieving wealth.
to me, that's one of the biggest root causes. And I resonate with that, Giovanna. I grew up on a farm in West Central Minnesota, and everything revolved around hard work.
Yeah.
I was driving tractor by age 10 and helping my dad with all these unpleasant chores like cutting balls off pigs, which is a skill set that my husband's not really fond of knowing that I have. And the money story, because we all get a money story
Yes.
from our families, from society. We all kind of come in with a certain money story. And my money story was, I'm only worthy of having money if I've worked hard enough or suffered long enough to deserve it.
Yes.
And I heard things like, we can't afford it, or money is for other people, not for us, like all of our rich relatives. And I watched cousins who had nice clothes and got to study abroad and got to travel, and we were the quote unquote the dumb, low level farm family that didn't have enough and had to more struggle and work hard to get by.
It's amazing. And I'm sure, like you just said, when you were young, so it's probably younger that, in the before 7, where you saw a lot of the difference between your cousins and you, where your parents probably spoke about the lack of money. I mean, that happened to my household, and there is fighting back and forth, and you remember those, those arguments. And so they're like at our subconscious level,
Right.
right? And so when we want to go ahead and spend some money, we're like, no, we can't.
Right.
Because your subconscious is really going back on those programs from when you were young.
And they get in so deep that we don't realize that we're, carrying out, these old blueprints of what we believe we can have. And we come in with a certain wealth blueprint. And again, it's based on those factors of, family, but also on those belief levels. And it really takes, some work to excavate what are those beliefs and programs that are getting in the way.
Do you see there is a connection between money mindset and health?
Oh my goodness. I think about every health issue starts in the mind.
Regarding
It's usually starting in your mind, because your body is your way of getting attention to your spirit.
Yeah.
We're all part of mind, body, spirit. And, we develop certain things in our energy systems and in our mind. Things get caught in various parts of our chakra systems. Like, say you have trouble with your thyroid and your throat because you're afraid of speaking your truth. Because maybe you've been punished before for speaking up for yourself and speaking your truth.
Absolutely. In regards to money, though, can lack of money drive illnesses in the body because you're so afraid, you're so worried? Have you seen, your clients go in that direction?
A lack of money driving illnesses. I've not really seen the connection between those two.
So when they don't have enough and they're afraid, money's running out,
people get scared. They usually the big problem is people focus on what they don't want, and the lack of what they want in their life instead of what they do want. And focusing on the lack of it just mirrors more of that to you.
Exactly.
So that's just the law of attraction, the law of magnetism, in practice. And certainly that lack can carry over to health. I mean, you think of all the, parts of a wellness wheel. There's relationships and love. There's how we are in our communities.
Yes.
There's the health and well-being aspect. There's our career life purpose. There's our financial well-being, and there's our spiritual well-being. And so any element of lack will often produce. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and maybe when we come back, we'll give some tips on how to shift that energy, because it is, like we said, everything is energy, and even money's energy. And if our energy is up, we attract more better things in our lives, which results in more money. Instead of thinking lack, we think of opportunities. So we'll be right back, everyone.
Right.
Now, the vast majority, approximately 95% of the people of all countries, go around and around without aim or purpose. They drift with the circumstances of life, good or bad.
A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind.
Whereas the successful individuals create their own circumstances and ride them to victory.
When you're on purpose, you're living on purpose. You will never quit if you have a real purpose.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. But what I have done has been recorded, it's been tested, it's being taken to a free world, and it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born.
And it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born. We're some of those people. That we're spreading this to the world. As your awareness grows, the doubt is gone, so that you can manifest whatever it is your heart desires. Isn't that beautiful?
Welcome back, everyone. So let's talk about, I love Napoleon Hill, I'm a certified coach, and they teach how to really control the mind, because everything starts with the thought. right? We have thoughts, and they drive our energy in which direction. If we have negative thoughts, we're going on down a negative road. If we have positive thoughts, it drives us on the positive side. So if we can talk about how do you take a client from through the process of really helping them understand how money, the money blocks, and then unblock those beliefs, or in the direction of helping them to be aware how it's our own thinking, our own speaking, the words that we speak, because words are spells that really prevent us from having more. It's not the outside that's preventing us to have abundance. It's our beliefs, our actions. So I'd love to hear about that.
Okay. Well, there's so many issues that I look at, but first of all, let's just kind of come to an understanding of the energy of money. And there are different elements. First of all, it's how do you attract money, which is manifesting. What is the energy that you have around having money? Being able to keep money, accumulate money. What is the energy that you have around spending money? Because some people become very miserly, and they're afraid to let money release because they're afraid that it's gone, it's never going to come back.
We put it under the mattress and don't let it move.
Right. And without realizing, money needs to be in circulation.
Yeah.
And then there's also energy around how you invest and grow your money, and the things that you want to leave as a legacy in regards to your money. And then when I work with somebody, I look at the elements of a money mindset to start with. And so your beliefs inform your beliefs are part of your conscious and your subconscious. And when you think about your belief system, your beliefs support your whole self-concept. And your self-concept is everything. That is your identity. And tied to that self-concept is your sense of self-worth, which we talked about a little bit before.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things I do to start out with is I want to help people just kind of clear the deck, because I believe that there's often an issue with stuck energy because people get trapped in clutter. And clutter is both physical clutter, which is stuff,
yes,
tangible, but it's also intangible. So intangible clutter is, feelings of regret, feelings of resentment, feelings of heartbreak, shame, just feelings of guilt, of unworthiness, heavy emotions. So I want to help people unleash and release some of those things to start with. I always think that's a good place to start, because if you have so much clutter going on in your life, it's hard to get clarity. And so I will help people to get to clarity first by helping them think about, what have been some of their biggest frustrations with money. And I'll have them go on a rant. All right, tell me everything that has ever frustrated you in regards to your relationship with money, your beliefs about money, your history with money, what you were told about money in regards, from your parents, and so on. And how you've valued your time and your expertise as well. And then, to me, it's kind of a clarity through contrast.
Okay.
And then we'll go through each of those points of what they don't want, or what's frustrating them or weighing them down, and then put it into what they do want instead. And all of a sudden people are like, oh, I'm clear. And then it's a matter of finding out what might be getting in the way of that. What might be a block? What might be a fear that you might be coming up against? So I'll do some digging. And this is where I'll work with my client to get into a theta state. I do a meditation that we both get into a theta state. And it's really kind of co-creation, but the process is called digging. And I'm going to dig to what's that story that they're holding on to, or bottom belief. And then we'll do an energy test. And energy testing can be done through a pendulum. I always have one handy.
I love it.
So, I'll find out the way that a person energy tests most accurately, either through a pendulum or through, I like to do the standing muscle test.
Kinesiology?
Standing kinesiology.
Yeah, I do that too.
Because your body's not going to lie to you. So if you're tapped into your higher self, you're always going to get at what's true for you. Now, the key to that is being hydrated. So if you're somebody that doesn't drink enough water, it may take a while for you to energy test correctly. So that's why I always have some Himalayan sea salt ready to go, because that fools your body into thinking that it's hydrated. And, ask permission, because I can't help a person make a change if they don't want to.
Right.
Everyone has free will. We're all here to learn lessons and to be teachers to one another. But, I can't override another person's free will. That's a law of the universe that can't be bent or broken.
Correct.
And I very much adhere to that one.
Yeah.
So
good.
I ask for permission, can I tap in? Can I ask you questions? And so we'll get to a bottom belief, what I think might be a bottom belief. And I really trust my intuition too. And then when I think I've hit one, we'll test it out. And if somebody comes up, yes, in order to make a change, I then ask, how has that belief served you? Because your subconscious created it somehow to keep you safe, to solve a problem at some point in your life. But now the solution is now the problem, right? It's become a blocker, a barrier, preventing you from getting the wealth or the success that you desire in your life. And so once they understand how it served them and they're ready to let go of it, when they've understood there's a lesson and a gift there, then it's like, what do we want to replace that with?
Yeah.
So maybe they're afraid of, gosh, if I have too many clients, or I can only make money by working 24/7 through hard work. And they test yes to that. How has that served you? I can say yes to that one because that's been one of mine that I've had to clear out. Hey, I've developed a strong work ethic. I know how to work, but I understand now that wealth and abundance can come through us through ease and flow. It doesn't have to be struggle.
There's that saying that people say, our parents suffered to give us all that they could. And now I look at that and I go, did they really have to? Right? If they knew what we know now and how, energy works and the flow of energy, it's the mindset that kept them from believing, and the beliefs from their parents that, we have to suffer for our kids. And the truth of the matter is, no, we don't. No, we don't have to suffer. It's actually a belief that has been instilled in us that if we don't suffer, meaning we don't make sacrifices, lots of sacrifices, we can't have money.
Exactly.
And it's just, and really I want people to know that there's this whole world out there that we're not aware of, that there is no lack. There is no lack. The fact that you thinking that there's not enough, when you ask someone, what is a goal? What is your goal? I want to be rich. Or, I want to have $100,000 in the bank. The question is, if you can think of what can you do to make that money? And if you're serving for the higher good of everyone, there's no question that you're not going to make that money.
Right.
And so if we can go from that perspective versus, I want 100,000, great. But what are you going to do to achieve that? Because it doesn't come automatically. You got to give, the law of polarity. or the law of cause and effect, right? What are you giving to receive that?
Yes.
So people don't make that connection. They're not aware.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be hard. We don't have to have a life of struggle where the goals and the things that we want to create in our life have to be so difficult. We're powerful creators, and we're always creating, whether it's deliberately or by default.
But we are co-creators. We're not creating ourselves, right? So we
That's
are
true.
everything. Everything that we are doing is there's a greater force that's helping it happen as well.
Exactly.
So it's the mindset that must shift in order to receive and understand that the abundance that's already there. And I said it the other day on another different podcast. I'm like, there's plenty of trees, plenty of water, right?
Plenty of air to breathe.
Plenty of air to breathe. So for us to think there's not enough of anything, money or anything, it's a perception of the underlying beliefs that we have. And it's just, I think there's a lot of crime out there because of those beliefs. Because everyone feels that there's not enough, so they have to go out and, like the prices are going up astronomically, right? It's like they're saying in the news, maybe we'll go into a recession soon. And just putting out that kind of energy out there in the world is going to create different mindsets.
Well, but yet the economy is doing better than a lot of people are giving credit for in terms of growth in the economy and jobs created. But the price of goods have been high, and yet I think what we're hearing in the news tends to be fear-based, and they call it TV programming for a reason, because it's there to program you. It's Madison Avenue programming us because that's what drives the economy. When people feel like they're not in control of their lives, when they feel powerless, they're going to numb themselves. They're going to find some other way to take control of their lives. They're going to go shopping. They're going to find other distractions to take their mind off the fear or feeling helpless.
Yes.
And yet, there is so much abundance out there, an opportunity to create multiple streams of revenue, money. And I like my whole thing is to be someone who has more money than she knows what to do with.
That's right.
That's my identity.
Yeah.
Is stepping into that.
It comes down to your identity. I remember Bob Proctor, late Bob Proctor, he said, you can not outdo your identity. So if your identity thinks, I can only make 100,000 a year, well, you just limit yourself to so no matter what kind of job, you can go work for the king and the queen, you're only going to make, 100,000 a year. So it's our identity that we need to shift to understand that you deserve more. And like you said, the worthiness of us not feeling we are enough starts trickling into every other area of our life. So if we don't feel like we're enough, then obviously you're going to feel you don't have enough money, and you don't have enough clothes, and you don't have enough, right? You don't have enough of many things, because that is the underlying belief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know how that has shown up in my life previously. Mm-hmm. And it is really powerful. That's one of the biggest things, is self-love. And, filling that void within us, that hole within us. And it's not something external that's going to fill that void. It is us knowing that we are loved. We are always connected to whatever people want to call God, the universe, source, energy, whatever that is. People use a lot of different terminology to say the same thing. But we are loved and connected, and we are worthy. We don't come into the world with a little stamp that says, hey, this person is worthy, this one not so much. There's not that kind of grading system when a human being comes into this world.
Right.
There's nobody more worthy than you, than me. And just because, and we often get into that disease of comparison.
That's it. That is a killer. I agree with you 100%, is that we're always looking at someone else and saying, well, that's Warren Buffett. I'm never going to be like him. Or, that's, what is it? Anybody who's richer than you. When you compare, you're actually looking at yourself and giving yourself a reason why you can't have that money. You can't have money. You can't bring money into your life. And the truth of the matter is, we're all the same at the very core. We're all made of the same stuff. It's just that one mindset kept focusing on how to make the money, how to invest the money. And the other mindset was, I can never be that way. And I say over and over again, Henry Ford says, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly.
It's all what we say. It's all what we say, what we think and what we say.
And it's also our vibration, because getting back to where we started, energy is a vibration. And those thoughts that we think, those words that we speak, carry a frequency. And there's a different frequency for a wealthier vibration that's a higher vibration than a heavy, lower, negative vibration.
Give us an example of both.
A wealthy vibration is of you feeling good and worthy and happy and aligned and just in sync with the world. It's you thinking, being in your favorite place, doing your favorite things, being with your favorite person, involving your favorite activities. It is, living your damn life as you want to live it with positive energy. It is excitement, anticipation, fun, gratitude, appreciation, and it's love and joy and bliss. That is what wealth is aligned with. Lack and poverty is aligned with lower vibrational energies of unworthiness, not deserving, can't, anger, resentment, jealousy. Those are lower vibrational frequencies.
So it's the energy, our own energy from those thoughts, that prevent us to really attract money.
Yes.
And if we're in high vibration, that will bring more awareness of ways to make money.
Right. Because it's a matter of having a clear desire, putting it out there with your positive vibration, and understanding that it can be delivered to you in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. You read my mind.
Of one time when I was struggling after my divorce. This was quite a few years ago. This was it was a long time ago. In any event, I was in this situation where I was concerned about how I was going to make ends meet, do what I needed to do to keep my household running and all of that. And I was working 3 jobs. And I remember just getting into this vibrational energy of, manifesting money from a variety of sources. And I wrote down this desire statement stating, I love knowing that money is coming to me. I don't know where it's coming from, but I wrote down a figure. I'm not kidding you. 2 weeks later, I received $1,000 in the mail. I helped somebody land a really good speaking gig. And this person gave me 10% back. And I was not expecting it. It was not how I ever would have anticipated money coming to me. When I saw that check in the mail, it was just like, oh, the feeling of elation and relief and excitement. Like, oh my God,
It really works.
I manifested
Yeah.
5 free trips to Europe this way as well. A dream house in Florida. My ideal life partner, because even though I went through a divorce, I'm very, very happily married now. So I've used these techniques in many areas of my life to create. And I've used it by default to create things that I haven't been so happy with.
So it can go either way.
It can go either way. And sometimes when you first become aware of how to create, how to manifest money, some of the old stuff that you were creating might still be dribbling through. Some of your former creations might still be coming to fruition. But when you get in total alignment with your thoughts, your feelings, your identity of being wealthy, and the energy of it, and you suspend the how, and you let the universe take care of the how, you're going to get the nudges. You're going to get the surprise things that show up. You start noticing little things that start happening, little ways that you find wealth. And then those little bits of belief that become stronger become powerful. You only need 51% belief over non-belief to create what you want. And that's where it gets super exciting.
Yeah. They say all you need is a little mustard seed of faith, knowing that, it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. So beautiful. Give us another example, maybe of a client who, because I can picture right now in my mind of businesses who decide, what, I'm going to have to shut my doors. There's, the rule of thumb is if you are in business more than 3 years, I think, if you haven't made anything, you need to shut your doors. How do you help those clients to reverse that thinking?
Well, that's a foolish belief. Because sometimes it takes a while to perfect your craft, to get clear about your target audience, to get your messaging out there, to have the resources and the way to make it happen. So I always believe there's a way, to
there's a way
to be successful in business. And it's just holding on to that belief, but yet knowing when it's time to course correct. But also, I firmly believe in the, who, not how, where you find certain who's to help you out. Hey, we're not strong in everything. There are certain aspects perhaps that other people can do better in your business than you. So it's a matter of maybe finding strategic alliances or partnerships, getting connected to the right networking groups, opening yourself up to new opportunities, but then listening to those gentle nudges that the universe is giving you, because this is where people get really tripped up, is sometimes in the how. But if you open yourself up to, okay, I'm just going to turn this over to the universe. I'm going to delegate the how. And I'm going to start paying attention to where I feel inspired to take action.
What's that burning desire? I mean, we studied Napoleon Hill work, and if we have that burning desire, and they say burning desire is like marching order from God, like go for it. Don't let nothing stop you and get in your way, right? Be determined and disciplined, and the universe, God, will show you the way. Will bring people, things, situations into your life to work towards that desire that you have, whether it's believable to other people or not. If you stay on course, you will be given the resources you need.
I agree.
Right?
And it's just it's having faith versus fear. And
Oh,
usually
absolutely.
it's right when people are ready to give up that your blessing, your manifestation is right there. And
Yeah.
it's right often when people are ready to throw in the towel on their business or on their dreams, that it's just right there. And so it is a matter of staying the course correcting when you need to, because
Right.
sometimes we get contrast to know what we don't want to do, right?
Right.
And that we need to change things, or maybe this is not your ideal client or not your ideal setting or whatever. um, but going with it and just trusting that you will be led and guided and you will be inspired, as long as you're aligned with your divine purpose, living your passion, being authentic,
Oh, those are
being
so crucial.
yourself to what you do, you can't help but be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about that. It's understanding um, how you are given whatever you need to work towards that passion you have. But a lot of people will, and I'm sure you've came across where people just don't follow their passion because let's say they want to be a singer and they're like, "Yeah, okay, it's going to take me forever to get on Broadway, or an actor forever to get on Broadway," and they will kill that because they don't believe in themselves. But they'll say, "Oh, I can never get there," and then go work at a job that they hate and will be there for 60 years, 50 years until they retire. And, and then they look back and they're like, I should have done that. Like a lot of people do leave this earth with regrets that they didn't,
Mhm.
do what they really wanted to do. And I think there's like a big wake up going on here in the world right now where people are saying, you know what, I'm not going to wait that long anymore. I'm not going to do something. They're shifting gears um, because they're realizing that their happiness counts, you know
Great.
so and that, to me, that brings more joy and happiness to someone's life, more abundance, when they start really thinking about themselves first, because if we're not happy, we can't attract anything, not money, not good people. We can't attract anything at all if we're not feeling fulfilled, loved, joy. But it first starts with us. We can't expect,
Exactly.
we can't fill up other people's cup if we don't fill up our cup first.
That's true. That's the whole put the oxygen mask on yourself first that you hear when you get on the airplane and you're being instructed by the flight attendants. And it's really applicable, just as you stated, to each of us. And, we're here, as I always say, we're all here just to walk each other home, right? At the end of it all, we're here um, collectively to learn and to grow and
Yeah.
to expand, to walk each other home. And it's a journey, but why shouldn't the journey be a joyful one, right? Especially since
Yeah.
we can create all these wonderful things in our life. Why not create a life of joy and happiness instead of one of boredom, drudgery, misery, struggle, um, resentment, or where you're stuck where you can't forgive yourself or another person? Because that's where I see a lot of people being weighted down. They think just because somebody else got something, it's taken something away from them. Or people that want to blame the government or someone else for everything that's wrong in their world. Blame and shame really keep people stuck from
Yeah.
fulfilling their mission and their destiny. And it should be a joyful experience.
And it comes down to the individual making a decision that, okay, I don't want to live this way. I need to get help to start changing my thinking, right? No one likes to be told what to do. We just don't like to be told what to do. But to be cognizant of what you're feeling, and saying, you know what, I don't like to feel this way. Like, to go out and get help. And people don't like to ask for help these days. And I will tell you, it's essential for us to get unstuck, because we don't know how to get unstuck. They never taught us to do, I have 2 master's degree. I went to school for many years. I did not learn how to, you know, work from the inside out. I learned how to study books study from the information and from the outside in. And now this whole new world opened up to me to understand that it all starts with me. If I want to change my world, I need to change me first. So, and now that means I need to study me, not, you know, Abraham Lincoln. I'm sorry, but I need to study me. And
Although,
right? So it all starts with us.
and I want to add on to that because I agree with what you said, but one of the best quotes from Abraham Lincoln is, people are about as happy as they make their minds up to be. I love that quote.
Right.
Because if you don't have control over your mind, what do you have control over? We all have control over our mind. And we can incrementally move up that scale, that emotional scale. Is it important for us to feel different emotions, like anger or frustration or sadness and all that? Yes, that's part of the human experience. But knowing how to shift out of it so we can get back to joy, back to creation, back to, a sense of love and connection, because that's where when we feel connected, that's where we have empathy for other human beings. That's where we're at our best for others.
Right.
Instead of when we're caught up in this, shame, blame, guilt, lack of forgiveness, resentment kind of mode. And I call that victim mentality.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest saboteurs of having a brain that's a sage brain, is this judge that we're always judging circumstances, people, and situations not to be measuring up, or we're sabotaging ourselves through different ways, like avoiding or being perfectionistic or being hyper intellectual or being, I don't know, just there are different ways that we sabotage ourselves. So it's really getting at and being more aware of what are our tendencies in terms of where we might sabotage and how can we get back? Because our brains are we have neuroplasticity.
Yes.
Which means we can always learn. We can always grow new neural pathways in our brains to change some of those old programs.
Absolutely.
It's a matter of rewriting. So one thing I often suggest people to do is to have a little rubber band and to wear it for like a week. And every time you have a disempowering thought, it could be about money, about yourself, about your looks, about your situation in life, zap it. It's like a pattern interrupt, because right then you're usually focusing on what you don't want.
Right.
And then do the flip switch. Okay, I don't want that. What do I want instead? And start rewriting the program of what you do want, because you have to tell a different story. If we clear out money blocks and beliefs, you can't tell that old story anymore about how you're broken, how you can't earn money or save money, or how you can't create wealth. You have to tell a new story. And one of the quickest ways to do that is to be your future self now, is to step into your future identity, whoever that might be. If you think out like 2 years from now, how do I want my future self to be? How do I want to show up? How do I want to be in the world? What kind of thoughts do I want to be thinking? How do I want to look? How do I want to act? How do I want to behave? How do I want to create my day? What things do I get off my to-do list? What things do I add to my to-do list? If I'm showing up as that wealthier, more successful, aligned with my divine purpose self.
Yeah.
And start acting and leaning into that now. Start adopting those qualities and behaviors and thoughts. And part of it is, again, through the awareness, first and foremost, because, we all have disempowering thoughts.
And you need to stop the ones that are not serving you. Absolutely.
Right.
We're going to take it to a landing. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts? My final thoughts are just that you are deserving of the best incredible life and money situation that you possibly can. And if you need help with that, I'm a money mindset breakthrough business coach and mentor who helps people scale to 7 figures within 2 years or less guaranteed. And I'd love to help you. And there are so many more techniques that I'd love to share with you to help you grow.
How can they get a hold of you, Carmen?
They can reach out to me at intentionalityconsulting.com, and they can book right through that website. I also have another one that's called connecttocarmen.com. So either one of those modalities will reach me. And you're also encouraged to reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Facebook. Happy to connect with you there, or on Instagram as well.
Thank you so much, Carmen, for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. I appreciate you very much. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Until next time, I'm your host, Giovanna Torivone. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchange.now.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.